All right, y'all, this is the last set of fish notes, and it is on sharks. All right, so first up with sharks, they are going to have an extra sense that other animals do not have, which is the ampullae of Lorenzini. And these are special sensing organs that are form a network of jelly-filled canals. And generally, they're found a lot around the nose of the shark. And these ampullae of Lorenzini are capable of detecting the electrical fields generated by other moving animals. And they just look like little, like giant pores on their nose. Um, so they look like that, and it can just sense those electrical fields and tell them that, hey, there's something nearby. And they're actually super sensitive, and they can sense. I forget the distance that they can sense from. It probably depends on the species, but it's kind of just crazy how well this works for them. Next up is shark teeth. A single shark can go through about 50,000 teeth in their lifetime. Um, they basically have a conveyor belt of teeth. So when one's lost, a new one just like rotates up into that spot and takes its place. Kind of like this picture here, like there's just rows. So have you ever seen a like shark jaw, like a store at the beach or something, and you just see those laying behind and they'll just like pop into place. They don't like it just doesn't stop. Like for humans, we have a set of baby teeth, a set of adult teeth, and if we lose our adult teeth, we're just out of luck. These guys just have a never-ending row of teeth. Sharks actually do have different shaped teeth for different functions, normally based on the species it is. So if you find some shark teeth on the beach, you can probably look it up and figure out what species it's from just based on the shape of it. So like a hammerhead shark tooth is going to look like this. Mako shark, great white shark is going to look more like that. Right. For determining the difference between a male and a female shark, and this will be important when we dissect sharks to see what gender you have, is going to be based on whether the shark has claspers on it, and that if they have them, then they're male. And claspers are sperm transferring organs, and so females don't need that. So a male shark, the claspers look like this on the bottom side, and then versus female sharks don't have them look like that. Or if you ever go to the aquarium and you see the whale sharks swimming around, you can see I believe they're all males there, but I might be wrong. But you'll see these claspers when they're swimming around. Right. Sharks have what's considered a cancer shield because scientists once thought that sharks never got cancer, but as time has gone on and we've researched them, we've learned that they do indeed get cancer, but it's very rare and very seldom in there. Scientists have studied this by injecting them with carcinogens, and then have detoxified the pathogens. And let me move that out of the way. And they survived apparently without ill effects. Scientists have been researching the shark's ability to prevent cancer in order to help humans fight cancer. So we're seeing, okay, like they can get rid of these carcinogens, which are cancer-causing agents. How are they doing that so we can do it? Shark liver oil and shark cartilage is believed to cure cancer, but that's actually a myth and not true. But people used to think that. Right. Sharks are generally considered the villains of the animal world because they attack people, but a lot of times it's accidental and it rarely ends in fatalities. But there are about 50 to 75 shark attacks around the world year round, every year, but only about 8 to 10 of those actually end in a fatality or death. Sharks can go days or weeks before eating again, so it's not like they've got to eat every single day, and every time there's a human in the water near them, they're going to want to eat them. But the great white tiger and bull sharks are generally the most prone to attack humans. And the reason that they're more likely to attack is that they're very territorial. They mistake humans, especially like on a surfboard. They're not sure what they're going after. They think it's something they want, and they find it's just not a human. And also during breeding season, they're more likely to just be on edge and want to attack. Some species of sharks, and I'm not sure which ones off the top of my head, but will even give off a warning in their body language before attacking, and they'll arch their back posture similar to like how a cat would arch their back, and it gives you like a sign that they're going to attack. Now, granted, if a shark's swimming at me, I'm not going to pause and look for the arch back. I'm just going to try and get away. But you can see that here, and this shark here has that arch back, and you can see that here. So, but again, not something I'm going to take the time to look for if a shark's coming after me at the beach. Right. So how to avoid a shark attack, especially as you guys go to the beach during spring break or summer, things you want to think about is that when you're swimming at the beach, stay in a group and don't go too far from the shore. Generally, the further out you go, the more likely there is to be a shark. Avoid being in the water during the hours of twilight or very early in the morning or when it's dark out, and that's because that's when sharks are going to be more active. Stay out of the water if you're bleeding. They can sense it. And do not enter the water wearing shiny jewelry or really bright clothing. That's going to attract them because they're going to think that you're like a fish or something else that they're interested in. And then avoid areas being used by fishermen, especially if you see diving birds or other signs of bait fishes and feeding activity. Because if those fish, or the birds are diving in, then there's fish for them. And that's also a sign that's like, oh, a shark might also sense that there's fish there. And want a piece of the action. So that's just an area you don't really want to be near. Make sure you exercise caution when entering murky water. Like if you can't see the bottom, just be cautious. And then areas near sandbars or steep drop off. Like if the water all of a sudden just drops off, one, you might have difficulty swimming, and then two, there's more likely to be a shark in there that you just don't see because the water's so deep. And then do not enter the water if sharks are known to be present in the water. And if someone says there's a shark, you need to evacuate the water, which is common sense. But in today's world, you just never know. Right? But while sharks are seen as the villain to most people, they are also very much a victim. So not only are sharks fish for their meat, fins, or cartilage, millions of them will die for no reason, just as an undesirable bycatch in nets and long lines. So when these fishing boats go out to catch other fish, the sharks get caught up in them and they just kill them and throw them back, like without real reason for it. A study back in 1991, so way before you guys' time, found that out of 8.3 million sharks that were caught that year, more than 87% of them were thrown back dead. Which, granted, it's kind of scary if you just reel in a shark, but sharks do some good in the world. All right, they're here for a reason. All right, another reason that they're a victim is of shark finning, which shark finning is the cutting off of the fins and then throwing the body back into the ocean. So, they don't use anything but the fin. So you can see this terrible human being right here with his pile of shark fins, and this guy cutting off the fins. So, you could catch a shark, use the rest of its body, but they just throw it back and waste it. Just use the fin, and waste the at least use the rest of it. So the reason, or one of the main reasons for this, is the shark fin soup, which is a very expensive dish that I will never taste. That typically runs, at least at the time of this PowerPoint, was $100 to $400 a bowl. Disney World in Hong Kong, I can't remember the year that they tried to do this. It wasn't super recent. That I'm aware of, had plans to add shark fin soup to their menu, but they faced so much opposition that they decided that was a terrible idea, which it was. So good on them for not doing it. So next thing is searching for solution. The new tools include electronic beach shields and chemical repellents to help us protect ourselves from sharks. Researchers have been extracting certain chemicals out of dead shark carcasses that are washing up, purifying them, testing them on sharks, and it's so far has been working pretty well. So ironically enough, this won't only save us from the sharks, but also save sharks from us killing them. Right. Next up is no more sharks, but for rays and skates. So stingrays, they are characterized by their flattened shape, their long spine-bearing tails, and then they are unique cartilaginous cousins of the shark. Stingrays are going to have pectoral fins that are fused to the sides of their rostrum or their head. So I'm sure you've all seen a picture of them, but that's what they look like. So their fins are just almost like just a clean extension of their body. They're going to have an external gill openings that are located on the ventral side or the underside of their body. For benthic rays, such as the Atlantic stingray, they're often found buried in the sand. Benthic just means that they're associated with the seafloor. They're generally going to be found along the seafloor. Typically, they're usually going to have a rounded or diamond-shaped body, and their stingers or barbs, when present, are going to be located near the middle or lower third of their tail. As they're going to be mostly bottom feeders, these rays are generally going to feed on worms, clams, shrimps, crabs, snails, and sometimes even some fish. But whatever's really found on the bottom of the ocean. Right? These guys are going to have spiracles, which are small openings on the surface of some sharks and all stingrays and skates that lead to their respiratory system. It's found behind each eye and is often used to pump water through the gills while the animal is at rest. So they're not having to continuously swim to get water through their gills. And this helps them breathe while they're buried in the sand as well. So it's not a straw sticking out, but it's like a hole, kind of like a straw would be, if that makes any sense. All right. For some rays, like the spotted eagle ray and the manta ray below in this picture here, are going to be more active swimmers and have a bat-like shape to them. So these guys, I mean, they still have the general shape to them, but their fins are just, their fins are mostly what's different looking about them, as well as their mouth has a different look to them. Right. The main difference between rays and skates is that skates are a type of ray, but they're considerably different from stingrays. So skates are going to have a clear, such as the clear nose skate, do not possess venomous barbs like stingrays do, so they don't sting. But they might still have sharp thorns located on their dorsal surface and on their tail. So they could still cut something open with their tail, but they're not going to have the venom to back it up. And then also, unlike stingrays, skates primarily live in marine habitats and rarely enter brackish or freshwater environments. And then another key difference between them is that all stingrays are going to give live birth, while skates are going to reproduce by laying eggs in a leathery capsule, which is sometimes occasionally referred to as a mermaid purse, because, why not? And these are some pictures of mermaid purses. So that's another key difference, is that stingrays give live birth, and then skates are going to lay eggs. Or lay mermaid purses, if you will. But, all right, that is it for all the fish notes.